Secrets people are hiding from others, but can share it online. Story 1. My girlfriend was feeling very sad about turning 30 to the next day a few years ago. We went to get some wine, and while she was looking at some of the bottles, I asked the cashier if she could card my girlfriend so she would feel better. Legal drinking age for wine is 16 here. She happily obliged, and my girlfriend was so happy. She did not stop talking about it for days. She still brings it up from time to time 3 years later. Story 2. My husband has large feet, large enough that there are only a few places I can buy him shoes, and since the in-person place near me closed down, they're pretty much all online. All this to say, his shoes are expensive. He also grew up poor. Like the kitchen floor was his bedroom poor. He stopped being able to find his shoe size in stores before he was in high school. And before he met me, he always only had one pair of shoes at a time, and sneakers were his everyday work dress shoe. He even worked fast food jobs in regular sneakers, because he couldn't find non-slip in his size, and because getting each pair was so difficult and costly, he'd often wear his shoes until they had holes in the soles before replacing them. When he was studying to be a mechanic, I got him a pair of steel-toed boots for his birthday. I splurged and got a good brand that would last for years. He recognized the brand and knew what they sold for, and he demanded I returned them. He was planning on squeezing into cheaper, smaller boots and dealing with it. So I lied. Said I had bought them months before during a sale. Got them at 40% off, then signed up for all their stuff for an additional 20% off. I had paid full price. I've bought him sale shoes several times since then. One time he even cried because I had gotten him a second pair of sneakers well before his old ones needed to be replaced. His shoes kept getting wet from some yard work he was doing, and he'd have no choice but wear wet shoes around. His last pair of work boots showed up with the first pair of sandals he has owned in over 25 years. Because there was a BOGO sale that I totally made up. I just wanted to get him sandals because we camp a lot, and him using camp showers without sandals always grossed me out. But I had never managed to find a pair in his size until then. Story 3. My father is convinced that lilies were my late mother's favorite flower, because their wedding venue was filled to the brim with them, and she was supposed to be the one who picked the flowers. He got her lilies for every birthday, anniversary, and whenever she was in the hospital. My mother was in poor health most of her life. When she passed away, the funeral was full of lilies, and he still sometimes puts a vase of lilies beside her urn. The thing is, my mother once confessed to me that lilies weren't her favorite flower. She was fine with them, but she preferred morning glories and sunflowers. My domineering grandmother, however, told her those weren't classy enough for a wedding and hounded her about it until my mum gave in and let her pick lilies. Mum was actually pretty wounded by how dramatic the floral arrangements ended up being. Another big, showy way for her mum to say, "I'm right and you're wrong." When she later voiced this, my grandmother brushed it off with, "Please, no one's going to remember a thing about your wedding." But my dad remembered. He got her lilies every day of their honeymoon, and by the end of the week she'd gone from annoyed to deeply touched. He didn't know the backstory. He just wanted to make her happy, and in doing so, he kind of stripped the negative association away from them. She told me she liked that he gave her lilies more than flowers themselves. They turned from a symbol of being ignored to a sign that somebody was thinking of her happiness. She swore me to secrecy, and I'll take it to the grave. A.R.I.P. Mom. Story 4. Sometimes I'm grateful that I woke up blind. I was a total workaholic, and going blind was a nightmare that first summer. But the fact I couldn't work in nursing anymore, especially post-COVID, did wonders for my mental health. I also realized how much I love hanging out with my 3 sons. I didn't know how much I loved their company until I wasn't working 50 to 60-hour weeks. Mostly third shift, so I hardly ever saw my kids. Being blind sucks, and I feel guilty sometimes for thinking that I prefer it to how things were before. But given the choice, I don't think I'd go back to being sighted. Because that would mean the nightmare of working in nursing again and never seeing my husband and my kids. Story 5. I am a teacher, and I am off for the summer. I get to spend all that time with my daughter, age 4, and my son, who is not quite 1 yet. My wife works full-time. My son is just starting to talk, and my wife and I have a friendly competition going to try to get him to say Dada or Mama first. What she doesn't know is that while she is at work, I spend the day talking about her and saying the word Mama a lot. We have been working on it together for weeks. The other day, she walked in the door after getting home from a long day, and he looked at her and said, "Mama, clear as day." She was so happy and rubbed it in my face playfully that he said Mama first, even did a little happy dance. I'll never tell her. Story 6. Whenever I look at my significant other, I feel immensely grateful. Before we met, I just went through the most traumatic time of my life. When he asked me out, I agreed. Little did he know I planned to kill myself that same day. But I held it off for one experience, because I thought he was a nice person. The date came. It was so weird, like I found a soulmate. We talked for the whole time and it just felt so close, so comfortable, like I've known him many lifetimes before this. There was this burning feeling that I cannot let this go. I cannot rob myself of this chance to have happiness. When I got home, I threw away the things I prepared to take my life. Now, I wake up next to him every day and feel so lucky to be alive. He's so kind, so great, and we love each other very deeply. Since then, he has given me the strength to turn things around. I faced my traumas, graduated, found a job. He introduced me to his friends and family. We will go to his home country next year to meet his parents. I thought my trust issues were too deep to ever heal, but I now trust him 100%, and it feels so great to be able to trust like that again. He doesn't know, but if I didn't meet him, I would probably be 6 feet under by now. I own this life to him. Story 7. In 6th grade, I pissed in a bottle of Coca-Cola that had 1/4 of its content remaining. You see, this asshole of a bully often tries to forcefully take my snack during recess, so I handed him that bottle of cola. He did make a comment that it had an awful aftertaste, but nothing too crazy of a reaction. At that moment, I felt like I would burst into laughter, but if I did, he would suspect something was wrong with the cola. I also knew I would be in a world of trouble if the teachers knew I did something horrendous like that. So I kept my mouth shut and walked away. Till this day, I haven't seen him since 6th grade, and I'm currently in my first year of college. Story 8. I've started to, on occasion, accidentally, but on purpose, not hang up my phone correctly when getting off a call with my daughter-in-law. I then proceed to talk to my husband about how much I enjoy talking to her, how lovely I think she is, how glad I am that our son chose her, and whatever other boosts I may think she needs. She doesn't have any family that uplifts her, just the kind that tears her down. I started doing this after my son told me about his wife coming to him in full-on snot tears, because I had once butt-dialed her while talking to my husband about her. She stayed on the line to hear what I really thought of her, expecting the worst because that's been her experience of family, ... Apparently she was quite touched by the things I said, and my son told me it gave her a confidence boost that lasted weeks. So I do it more often now. Neither of them have any idea I do it on purpose, though. They just think I'm getting old and worse at managing my tech. Story 9. About 2 years ago, I got diagnosed with thyroid cancer and had surgery to remove my thyroid. Luckily, it's all gone really well, and so far so good. It was quite large mess. 5 centímetros x 5 centímetros x 5 centímetros. With our mortgage, we've got mortgage protection insurance, and one of the things we spent extra on is heightened cover if one of us is sick. Well, my cancer was serious enough that after a year of getting reports sent to the insurance company, it's triggered the serious illness benefit clause in the insurance, with the effect of covering our entire mortgage. So we are mid-30s with no mortgage after only 5 years. We have told just our parents and siblings, but we aren't telling anyone else. Story 10. My ex-wife got hooked on mainlining opiates and got our son placed in foster care. After rescuing him from foster care by myself and raising him by myself for the past 7 years, she got sober and started to actively try to take custody from me. This culminated in her getting my son to say I slapped him once. I didn't. To a cop and me getting charged and convicted of a serious felony that prevents me from ever seeing my little boy again. Some mornings my hands just refuse to work. It takes everything I can do to get them to unclench. I've been on the verge of taking my life since it happened, and some days it seems a lot more likely you'll end up doing it. The only reason I haven't is I know the only person it will truly hurt is my son. That is all for today. If you have enjoyed this video, do you like and subscribe? I post once a week or more. You can also subscribe to my Patreon below to support me. Hope you have an absolutely amazing day, and hope you will check my other videos on screen.